Psychic energy by Annual Headed, aka Quintessence, the consciousness that fills 89% of the universe. What the fuck? Thanks to this and evolution, one day our offspring will be able to travel the universe, if not the multiverse, by thought alone. What I'm about to explain is how telekinesis works. It's just a matter of evolution. Helix waves, the energy put forth by strong and focused thought, have the potential to initiate a fundamental paradigm shift in the very nature of our reality. They are the missing link between mind and matter. This is the missing link of what binds physical to the unphysical. Once scientists finally acknowledge the existence of helix waves, things never thought possible will happen. Problem is, they are afraid of validating the perspectives of mystics and occultists. My kind of people. No shit. For various researchers consider helix waves as being synonymous or identical with consciousness itself. Do they, though? This means once scientists start studying this, we could possibly meet other versions of ourselves in the multiverse, since helix waves are a fundamental and defining nature of the cosmos. We can see how consciousness is also. Consciousness has a real and detectable force which can act on the environment both locally and remotely. Suddenly, the notion of something like psychokinesis is not so paranormal. Helix waves are stronger in some than others. It's very possible that due to natural selection, we'll soon be able to use it on a widespread basis. Sure, some people, maybe even some Onism users, can use it, and if you guys get I'm not reading that last one. Obsolete lonely. Very interesting. So do you have any basis for the existence of helix waves? I did a quick internet search and couldn't find anything other than this post. Do you have any more information about this? Annual Headed. I'm sorry, I should have explained myself. I got all this from a paper by Nylia L. Amin. She's a scientist from the Middle East who is studying the multiverse and astral projection via helix waves. Obsolete lonely. Do you have a link to her research? I search her name and she doesn't seem to exist. Maybe in your multiverse, not mine. LOL. Yeah, so this dude is insane. Consciousness is omnipresent. There's this theory that when electrons are split into two, it will reach the first screen and travels through both slits simultaneously. By novel granola. It then interferes with another version of itself that exists within the same plane, thereby causing a wave effect on the widescreen. In quantum physics, this is called the principle of non-locality, where something exists in two places at one time. It is not restricted to one location in time and space, but it becomes omnipresent. What if our souls are like this? What if there are multiple versions of ourselves out there? What if this entire message board is just one person talking to themselves from a bunch of different realities? I keep thinking about the double slit experiment. That's the name of the experiment I was talking about above. The results we get a strange beyond normal explanation, and I can't get it out of my fucking head. Could it be that everything in the universe is ultimately energy, and energy is influenced by mind? All of existence is fundamentally an unlimited quantum field of energy, a sea of infinite possibilities waiting to happen. This is the nature of reality. Thoughts, guys? Expensive Dick. This is that dude who wrote that bad creepypasta, so he's probably a troll. This is fantastic. I've been trying to explain how the double split screen experiment shows that our thought influence waves into particles. How just looking at something can influence it. This is proof that our thoughts can influence the very nature of reality. I'm glad someone drew the same conclusion. It's only a matter of time until science comes around to the metaphysical aspects of consciousness. Just by discussing this, we are driving our minds into the fourth dimension. I can't tell if he's trolling or not. Fertile Boogeyman? It couldn't be more obvious that neither of you understand the double slit experiment. You're projecting a bunch of shit onto it that doesn't actually matter. This really shouldn't be on Onism, since this website is about the occult and the supernatural, not shitty pseudoscience. Dude, the irony. I guess while I'm here to give you guys a little science lecture, First, it's photon, not electron. Do you know the difference? If you don't, go back to middle school. Second, it splits into two halves. Each half goes through one of the slits. Then it recombines on the other side, like a drop of water. None of that metaphysical bullshit you made up. Matter does not appear, only when observed. That's literally the dumbest thing I ever heard. Do us all a favor and go KYS, you fucking loser, Christ. Elastic House. Harsh words by Fertile Boogeyman, but he is right. You're not actually paying attention to what the experiment is really about. You have your own ideas that you're trying to force into scientific fact. Huh. Car accident from when I was a child. Bear's necessity. My first experiment with the supernatural occurred when I was a child, back when my dad was healthy enough to drive. He would take me and my sister for long rides, on the countrysides and to the beach. We'd rarely get out of the car, but that wasn't the point. When we were on the road, we would be able to think clearly and leave behind a lot of our problems. We even stopped fighting when we went for those drives. One day, my mom and my sister decided to stay home when we went for our drive. I'm glad they did. We got into a really bad accident on the parkway. A drunk driver plowed into the side of our car. Back then, no one talked about buckle safety, so I went flying into the front of the car. It was really messy. My dad and I were upside down for a long time, just waiting for help to come. Too injured to move. We heard yelling, knocking on the car. Two men were standing there. My vision was really screwed up, so I couldn't really see what they looked like, but I could feel something strange about them. Something powerful but friendly. They told us we'd be okay, and then I realized the car was filling up with water, or maybe it was gas. We couldn't tell. My dad and I started screaming, but they told us we'd have to remain calm. That's what we did. Or at least we tried to. The men started moving outside the car, and then it was over. The car was turned up front, completely dry, and my dad and I were both back to our seats, and my buckle was on. We got out of the car and started to check the car for damage. Everything was completely fine, everything except for a big cut across my dad's forehead, and an identical one across mine. It's scarred over, and it's really ugly, so I wear my hair long now because my mom says no woman would ever find it attractive if they could see it. What? That's harsh! We drove back home, being really careful, and a mile before our exit, we saw a crash that was exactly like the one we just experienced. My dad and I talked about it in complete disbelief. We decided that we'd never tell Mom, so after years of keeping this a secret, I decided to share it with you. I often lay awake, thinking about the two men that saved us. My grandmother would say they were probably angels, but I'm more inclined to believe they were extraterrestrial. So if aliens do read this forum, I would like to believe they do. Thank you guys for saving me and my dad that day. Reply, Vivid appears. I had a similar experience once. I don't have anyone who can back it up, though, like your dad. Sideways face. I was riding on a bike in the woods, on my way to school back in the 80s, when I hit a rock, flipped over, and rolled down a rocky hill, severely injuring me in the process. I blacked out, and woke up to two figures, each with one hand on me, telling me to be strong and to accept the things I can't change. And I started to scream as I realized I was in the river and I was submerged in the water. I stopped panicking, just like they told me, and I was lifted from the water. I told my family the story and they didn't believe me. I was only 11 when it happened, so I guess I can't really blame them. I don't know if I imagined it, but ever since then, I've had an interest in the supernatural. I wonder if there could be a connection between the two who saved me and the two who saved your dad. Friendly aliens traveling the world, saving stupid kids getting into accidents. That'd be totally cool if it was real. Veriformer. So this is Michael again. I swear we make a thread like this once a week, but I can't help but be compelled to see everyone's first experience with the surreal. I've never shared my story, but I think today is as good as any to do so. When I was a kid, I had an obsession with computers. I still do. My dad had this word processor with a tiny screen, one you could see like maybe 10 to 15 words at a time, and he'd work on it, and when he was done, I was allowed to use it. So I started writing stories. I don't really remember what they were about, but they were pretty stupid. One day, I started a ghost story. I remember how it goes. It was pretty bad. The Incandenza family appeared to be ordinary people during day-to-day life, but in the dark they glowed. No, I just made that shit up. But when photographed, they looked disoriented, or they looked distorted. On St. Patrick's Day of 1992, the family is photographed at a local parade. When it's published in the newspaper, they're missing faces. The next day, the family moves out. People in the town start talking about how weird they were. Some kids decide to break into the house and see if they left anything. They did, in fact, an old toy piano. After trading some cards for the toy piano, the main character acquires it from the kids who stole it. They say it's haunted, but he's too logical to believe in that, or so he thinks, refusing to believe the superstition. Mike starts to play the toy piano. but he's never played a note in his life, and yet beautiful music starts coming from the toy. A collage of images flash to his mind: a giant hamster balancing on a tiny navigator, an old newspaper headline about a hit-and-run accident, a hooded rabbit ranting about minorities, Bill Clinton, and a drinking well located in a deserted place. He looks down at his hands. Would that be Reform Orthodox Rabbi Minister Bill Clinton? Sorry, this is enough words as it is. I shouldn't be adding more. He looks down at his hands, and he's breaking out in spots. He realizes that the curse of the peculiar piano is true, and calls in his lover, a senior called Alexandra, to help him. They're talking, and she reveals that she is one of the Incandenzas. Alex Incandenza. Alex examines the piano and willingly submits herself to the curse. She finds that the same visions flash before his eyes. She finds the giant hamster balancing on a tiny navigator, particularly chilling. Mike and Alex pursue a quest to uncover the meaning of the visions, and starting with a search for the hooded rabbits. Will they be able to stop the curse before their time is up? I don't think I ever wrote an ending for it, but the next day, I was at my cousin's birthday. We had a party at our house, and guess what? We had an ice cream cake shaped like a rabbit, and he was gifted a toy piano. I got really freaked out, and I went for a walk. I fell into a poison ivy tree, and I got a really bad rash, just like the one from the story. I started running, and came across a well in the woods. The next day, I met a neighbor whose name was Alex. Ever since, I realized that thought had power. I realized that writing things and believing them can make them come true, which caused me to be terrified of my own thoughts and the power they had. As time has gone on, I've believed in it less and less. I'm still interested in the supernatural for various reasons. Okay, 2 more to get through. Phantom vibrations in my pocket. Reaction nod. I've been experiencing a strange phenomenon, phantom vibrations in my pocket. Now I've got a cellular phone that I use for business, and it stays on vibrate mode. But even when I'm not carrying it, which is whenever I'm not at work, I still feel it buzzing in my pocket. I reach in my pocket, tap the spot where it would be, and there's nothing there. The vibrations feel real. Has anyone ever experienced this? Yeah, this is actually a real phenomenon. I've experienced it. I don't own a cellular phone, but I can imagine the sensation. My father, back when he had a job, used to carry a beeper. We'd hear the beep and know it was time for him to leave, so my dad got injured on the job and has been on welfare for 5 years. His job took the beeper back, but sometimes we still hear it, and he'll turn his pants pockets out, and they'll all be empty. It's pretty spooky. Vivid appears. My dad is also an adopter of the cellular phone. He works for a phone company, so he's carrying. I've warned him about potential radiation side effects, and about the potential the phone could have for spying. Okay, that last one has some credence to it, but he still insists on carrying one. Could it be possible that there are paranormal side effects as well? He also reported these phantom vibrations. What is a cellular phone other than a radio? Radios have been the most viable options for picking up vibrations from the paranormal for ages. Maybe the advanced technology of the cellular networks amplifies what radios already do. That's absolutely not how anything works. Veriformer. Interesting. If the cellular phone was somehow able to pick up on the extraterrestrial or the supernatural, is there anyone out there who may be trying to contact you? Have any relatives passed on recently, or are you in government work? I don't think anybody in this forum is in any type of work. Okay? Impossible Dry. This is really interesting. My work... Okay, never mind. I just got directly contradicted. My work offers cellular devices to everyone on the management tract, which I will be beginning next month. I've always been perceptible to the paranormal, so I'm expecting to experience this phenomenon quickly. Vivid appears. Is it impossible when you're feeling it? Is it possible that when you're feeling it, there is another you out there in the multiverse receiving a phone call? Veriformer. At Vivid appears. A fantastic theory. If the cellular phone is actually amplifying the supernatural, it's possible that it's picking up some sort of sonic wave created in another dimension. There's necessity. My only issue with this theory is he's reporting the phantom vibration, he's not in possession of his phone. If it happened when his phone was on him, I'd be more likely to accept that it's from the great beyond. That is, unless carrying the phone has made him more in tune with the supernatural. Now, I think literally the basis for this is just you hear something that makes you think that your phone is buzzing, so you feel like a phantom phone buzzing. Do you ever wish you could just disappear? Oh no. Superb Pudding. Okay, so this is the person who is supposed to be Sammy. We think. This will be my first post on Onism. I'm really excited to have found this group. Sometimes I can't help but hate this life. The monotony and the repetition of the cyclical cycles of the ordinary are really starting to take their toll, or something like that. I don't know what any of this means. I just know that I feel it in my bones, and it's all one giant spiraling circle. And it's all the same again and again every single day, and I don't like it anymore. Wake up, feed the cat, kiss the cat, go to work, have a lunch break, come home, make dinner, cry yourself to sleep. Okay, so this is what untreated depression looks like, I think. I'm not reading all these repetitions. She wrote this like 20 times. There has to be a way to leave it all behind. Just get away from it all. I think I found it. Late one night, into the twilight hours, I've been crying myself to sleep and waking up. I can feel myself floating above my body, and I know it would just be so easy to leave it all behind. I start to move away, first through my walls, and then I'm in my attic, and then I'm floating above my house, and I can see everything. I can see everything. I can see through the neighbors' homes, all the way to the tiny apartments, and I'm really high up now, and then just when I'm about to touch the stars, and I think of my cat alone in my bed, well, not alone because he's on top of my body that's still in my bed, and then I'm back in my bed and I'm awake, and I'm crying, and I get out of bed, and then she starts repeating this pattern again. Then I found this website, my coworker told me about it. He's nice, I like him. He's got good glasses and a nice smile. He says that this site helped him when he got really bored and was looking for some answers. Do you guys have experiences like this? Have you ever left your body? Vera Former. Hey, Superb Pudding, welcome to Onism. I'm one of the mods here. Glad to hear that we were able to offer you some solace in your time of need. I think that what you stumbled upon here is lucid dreaming. It's when you're asleep and you become aware that you're dreaming. Then you can control everything, provided that you don't wake up. Probably subconsciously, your desire to escape is coming through in the form of a reoccurring dream. Then, when you wake, control, and then you stop to float away. Lucid dreaming is a fantastic way of escaping the stresses of your daily life, but it can be really addicting, so be careful. If these feelings continue, you should consider getting professional help. There is a good self-help and psychology forum in the links section at the bottom of the page. Check it out sometime. Superb Pudding. Thanks, Vera Former, for the advice. I'm not entirely sure if what I'm experiencing is lucid dreaming or not, because I'm pretty aware of being awake before it happens. And then I'm just lost in my thoughts, thinking about getting away, about how little I have left to care about, and it starts to happen. This first started happening when I was a student, but I never got further than my bedroom because it's just so scary to think about leaving my cat. Do you have any other theories about what's happening? Bear's Necessity. Superb Pudding. To me it does sound like it's a lucid dream, but there's also the possibility it's astral projection. I've read about people who can separate their mind from their bodies and explore the earth as a spirit. Maybe that's what you've tapped into? I'd be curious to see if you can successfully do it in the middle of the day. Consider trying it in an afternoon and report back. None of these people, except for Michael, are really addressing this core of her problem here, which is clearly depression. Alright. That's the entire forum so far.